Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry. I thought I was set up. I guess I wasn't. Let me go to... I'm going to pull up the live on my iPad. Hopefully, y'all can see me. Morning, Cindy. I am making a Lola bag. I figured I would just go live since I was sewing it up anyways. I'm making this as a Mother's Day gift for my mom. So, hopefully y'all can hear me. My microphone isn't the best on my phone, so let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm trying to find my live so that I can see comments because I can't see that far away for where my phone is at. Oh, goodness. And I'm still new to YouTube, so I'm not exactly sure how to work all this yet. Let me see. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to, I guess I'm just going to have to try to see the comments from up here because I can't pull them up on my iPhone or my iPad for some reason. So I'm just going to, yeah. Okay, so I've already wound my bobbins and I've picked my colors out. I'm doing this, it's like a, I think it's called like wild berry, or it's like a berry color from Sunny Sewing, Tech 70. And I am sewing off of my Juki, which is what I normally sew off of. So, all right, let's get started. Let's see. So I'm doing mine a little bit differently, my Lola. So if you've watched my sew along or my sew and chat informal sew along on Swoon, I don't do my zipper how the pattern suggests. I do my zipper as if I was doing the Annette. So that's how I'm gonna do mine. I'm also doing the overlay for the Lola. So, and I'm using this fabric that I got from Mexico. So it's authentic fabric. So I'm doing this with the black overlay and this like aqua color, maybe teal, not teal, I would say, I don't know what color this would be. And then I also have this yellow or lime green bottom. And I'm using waterproof canvas. So I'm just making sure that my overlay, and then my Lola one is out if I need to just in case if I need to add my or when I need to add my hardware. And then I guess also for my hardware, I'm using these anchor straps, the silver anchor straps. And then I'm using this silver like Vendolce zipper pull from So Dulce. Flat bottom rivet purse feet from Lux. A zipper end, and then I also have another just regular number 5 zipper because I'm going to be putting a zipper on the inside of my bag, and I'm going to use a number 5, and then I'm just going to pull out my silver bag tag so that I have it. If not, I'll forget. And then also I'm going to add one of the bag tags that you can get from So Whatever or Lauren Mormino. I think it's Mormino is her website. So I'm going to try one more time to try to pull up comments because oh, there we go. Okay, I think I got it. Yes, perfect. Okay. Morning, Deborah. Morning, Roxanne. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I just got my comments pulled up. I couldn't see anything that was coming up here on the on my phone because it's too far away and I cannot see. So I interface my fabric. So I'm omitting the foam that the pattern calls for. So what I did was I interfaced with Sewfuse Plus, and then I added a layer of decovil. So you can see it's like fairly sturdy. And what I did, because this fabric is hand woven, or I think it's now machine woven. They don't hand wove. It's not hand woven anymore. But Cindy, oh yes, caffeine is definitely my soulmate. So as you can see, this fabric, I don't know if you can see, this fabric frays really, really bad. So what I did was I cut my piece of Sewfuse out first, and then I guess I blocked, interfaced it onto the actual fabric, and then I cut around it so that I didn't have to worry about fraying, because I did make a Sincerely Jen backpack out of some pink fabric I had got like this, and it frayed really bad when I cut it. So then when I went to interface it, it was a little bit more difficult to work with when I was interfacing it. But I just used decovil light on the back here. So it's Sewfuse Plus, and then this is just decovil light. For my bottom of my purse, I use decovil heavy. So I'm not using any foam on this bag at all. So, and I use Sewfuse Plus, just because it's hand woven and I wanted it to have some good structure and stability to it. So Sewfuse Plus and then decovil light. So the Sewfuse Plus is cut out to the full pattern of the main panel. The decovil light is cut using the foam template for the Lola. So it's slightly smaller than, you can see, it's slightly smaller than the actual like main panel. So that's what I did. And put my bag tag in here. Oh, okay. Hi, Sarah. So yes, I use Sewfuse Plus to stabilize my fabric. And like I said, I cut it out first, and then I adhered it to my fabric, or fuse it to my fabric using my heat press, and then I cut around it. So really, I find that the Lolas are really quick to sew. I've made quite a few, so I always say it's going to be a quick sew, and then it's like 6 hours later. So also, I did not cut out my I haven't cut out my zipper tape, just because a lot of Swoon patterns are like, the patterns are based off of, or the zippers are based off of pre-made zippers, not zipper tape. So if you were to cut your zipper to whatever the pattern says to cut it to, your zipper will be too short. Just because they use pre-made zippers. So really it's supposed to be 12 inches of zipper teeth, and then whatever extras on the side. So I'm doing my, like I said, I'm doing mine like I'm doing my zipper like the Annette, how the Annette has you do it. And so mine's going to be long. It's going to have a zipper tail. So that's just how I'm going to do mine. You could totally put on a zipper tab at the end if you wanted to, but I'm not. So, and I'm just going to use this like rainbow zipper tape that I got from Amazon. Okay. For most that follow me on Swoon, you know that I like to do my handles first. So my handles are going to be 1 inch wide. So my handles are cut to, I believe, let's see, I want to say it's 4 inches by 25 inches is what I cut it to. Normally on my Lolas, I do a 3/4 of an inch strap, but since I'm using these 1 inch anchor strap connectors, I have to do 1 inch. So I am putting down my vinyl. I'm not getting as close to the center line. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch from that center line that I marked, which is 2 inches in. So since I have a 4 inch width strap, I'm going to put my center at 2. That way I have nice clean edges. So I like to just have a gap so that I can have even straps whenever I fold this. There won't be any overhang or anything. I'm just going to grab a few clips and clip these together. So, one. And now I'm going to do my second one. And then I just kind of use that little like seam roller to help crease my vinyl. Helps flatten it. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm not butting up my raw edge of my vinyl to that line. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch gap. Just makes it easier to fold. And I get a nice even fold. I don't have one end overhanging the other. So it just makes this fold here nice and clean. No, Sarah, I have not gotten my cylinder machine yet. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I'm purchasing it through Sunny Sewing. And so I'm doing like their like where you can, it's like a layaway buy where you can just like make payments. I was gonna save up for it, but knowing me, I would end up like feeling like something came up and I would end up using my savings on whatever it is that I needed to use it. So I figured instead of just having it sit in my bank account, I'd just send what I can over. So hopefully soon. Okay, I have a fresh bobbin in, so I'm gonna sew my straps. And sorry if I'm drinking a lot. I've been getting really bad Charlie horses, and so as most know, I am a avid Dr. Pepper drinker. And so I'm trying to drink more water so that I don't have to wake up crying in the middle of the night from a Charlie horse. So, I did not have this problem with my other boys or with my boys, but this pregnancy seems to be total opposite than what my last 4 were. So, I like to have my stitch length to like a 5, and I have a Juki. And my machine, I have a Juki 5550. It really only goes up to like a 4, but I kind of like made my own stitch. So it just kind of goes past the 4, and I just kind of marked it with like a sewing needle. And so that is my like makeshift 5. So, and I just like a longer stitch length for some reason. It's really just me. I used to always do my top stitching at a 4, but now I do 5. So I'm just going 1/8 of an inch from that edge, and I'm using a Teflon foot. Like I said, I don't have a walking foot machine. I'm using a Juki 5550, which is technically a garment making industrial, but I have not had any issues with mine, and I bought mine pre-owned also. My cylinder machine will be the first machine that I have bought brand new, besides like my domestic machines that I don't use anymore really. So I'm just gonna go down 1/8 of an inch. Make sure I'm not missing any comments. But yeah, I figured last night I cut this out, and then I was like, you know what? I might as well go live. I find that going live is a lot easier for me than like pre-recording videos. Just because I tried to record a video maybe like a couple weeks ago, and my child, well, I have 4 boys. He came in here while I was, videoing, like butt naked and like all in camera view, and I was like, so obviously that will not be, because I didn't realize right away that he did not have any clothes on. He was playing on the trampoline in the sprinklers, and he was coming in to ask for a towel. So I was like, you know where the towels are at. But yeah, so my kids are unexpected. They come in and out of my sewing room as if it's their playroom. So I find lives are a lot easier, and they actually, my mom came and picked them up last night. So they're all at my mom's house. We are going over there tonight. We're going to spend the night. I mean, they don't live far. I mean, they live far now. They live like 40 minutes away now. So the boys went over there to go spend the night. And we're going to go up there later. We're spending the night because my dad's making, for Mother's Day, a nice breakfast. So we're going to go spend the night, have a movie night tonight, make s'mores. My parents have land, like an acre of land, out where we used to live because we moved to Austin. So they, we take we have a projector here, and we take it over to their house and we set it up outside, and we will have like movie night. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just going down an eighth of an inch. I'm going slowly because I cannot talk and sew at the same time. So eighth of an inch, just making sure everything is nice and even. And back down. Thank you. Yes, I am. 4 boys. We'll have our 5th at the end of, we'll have our 5th. It's a girl, actually. She will be born at the end of July. So, got like 11 more weeks unless she decides to come early like her older brothers. Hopefully not too early. Not like my 3rd came at 36 weeks. He had a little NICU stay. And then my 4th, he came at 37 weeks. And he was fine. He just super itty bitty. I mean, and he still is really, really small. He's tiny. Like he'll be 2 in August, at the end of August, and he's still in like 9-month clothes. So he's itty bitty. So here are the straps. I hope you can see. I probably should just move y'all up, but so straps are done. Now let's see what we can do. Let's go ahead and add our overlays to our Lolas. I'm just going to get some double-sided tape. Whoops. I'm just using double-sided tape from Waywack just so it can hold it in place while I sew. I was going to, I put my quilting spray or my basing spray away. So I think I'm going to order another one so that I have one at my cutting table and one at my, over here. So I'm not having to like constantly take it to, move it between the 2 spaces. So like I said, I'm just using this double-sided tape from Waywack. If you have a domestic machine, you probably don't want to use the Waywack because I think it might be a little too thick. And from what I've heard from others is that they've had some trouble sewing through the double-sided tape from Waywack. So you can get like really cheap tape from Amazon, which I do actually have also. And that will work. That's what I use whenever I used to sew on my domestic machine. Yes, I can move the camera closer. Let me just put this overlay on real quickly. Hi, Carol. I'm gonna adjust real quick. So I'm gonna move my legs down. I think my tripod is just way too big. Okay, hopefully that's better. Oh, whoops, I look lopsided. Okay. So I just put my overlays onto my Lola. I am using the acrylic templates from Tops and Bobbins. Let me see. Oh. And they have the acrylic overlay option for Tops and Bobbins. So I bought that whenever I bought this one because I figured I would give it a try. So now I'm just going to base this on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm just using a regular stitch length of like 3 1/4. Oh, let me see. Hopefully I can see what I'm doing. It's really bright over here. Hopefully that helps. Okay. So like I said, I'm just going to go around this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, making sure everything is nice and straight. And then now I'm at the curve part of my Lola. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my stitch length to a 5 so that I have a nice top stitch that you can see, because you won't see this. You won't see the top because that's where we're adding the zipper, but you'll see this curve here. So I'm just going to adjust my stitch length so that it matches my handles. And I'm just going 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And I'm going to adjust. Okay, I'm just adjusting. I think my pressure fit's a little too tight. It's probably should have started at the bottom of the overlay and then basted the top, but worst case is we have to unpick the top to fix the yeah, I'm getting some puckering, and it could also just be because I changed my stitch length. Okay. So we're going to do the second one. I'm just going to keep my stitch length to a 5, and I'm going to start at the bottom this time. That way. I'm going 1/8 of an inch from that edge, adjusting as needed. Make sure your needle's down whenever you adjust. So I tend to always forget and then pull it out from under my... Okay. I'm just going to trim this down. Okay. Probably next time we'll stabilize my my vinyl because it's stretched a bit. I'm using vinyl from Fabric Warehouse. So I have my overlays done. And now we can move on to adding my, I'm going to add my hardware and also mark my centers. So I'm going to mark my centers. It just helps when I go to put on my nameplate and when I go to put on my my zipper. And I just cut myself. Yeah, I definitely will stabilize it next time because it's stretched. And like I said, I don't have a walking foot machine, so I don't have a walking foot machine, so that also contributes to that too. But I think once I put my hardware on, it'll be okay. I am gonna be right back. I'm gonna run and grab me a Band-Aid because I snipped myself with my scissors, so I'll be back. I probably would use either Sewfuse or I probably would just use Sewfuse, something so that it doesn't stretch so much. Okay. Oh, I needed my overlay. So now I'm just going to grab my marking pen and we're going to, I'm just going to mark about where I want my strap anchors at. So that one. And okay. So this is about where I want I'm going to place my connectors, if I can find my box. I'm always losing my hardware. Morning, Deb. Okay. So I'm using these strap anchors from Inline Hardware. So this is my first time using them. I'm just gonna kind of like trying to decide if I want them straight or at this like angle, how they have it in the pattern. I'm gonna go at an angle because I kind of like the way that looks. So I'm just using this marking pen from Lola and Mormino. And I'm just pretty much eyeballing where I want this to be. And then I just kind of mark with my, I just marked with my pen where on this line that it was going to fall. And I'm just going to get my crafting knife and make some holes. I forgot. I did use these on the Dainty Day Tripper by Mrs. H. It's not exactly my first time using these. Okay. I normally have wipies over here, but I don't have them. It looks like they walked away. So I'm going to okay. So I have one. Maybe my second. See my wipies. This. Can just wipe that off now. Okay. So there we go. Now we can do our second one. I'm just going to do the same way I did the first ones. Okay. Now that the holes are done, I can just wipe it off with this wipey and then set it aside for later. Okay. So now I'm just going to add my strap anchors in, and then from there I'm going to pick which side I like the best. Most likely it's going to be this side, and then I'll add my nameplate. And just okay, see. Probably just need to. Don't want to forget to put my washers behind there, which I tend to forget a lot. There we go. So I have one, and now we can put the last one in. Okay, and I leave the plastic on until I'm done sewing the bag and putting it together, just so it doesn't, the hardware doesn't get scratched. Okay, so we have both of our connectors on. And now I'm just gonna grab my ruler so that I can put my nameplate on. And I think what I'm gonna do is let me see what it will look like where I want to put it. If I want to put it, I'm gonna go at the bottom for mine, and I have my middles cut already, so that makes it a little bit easier for me to figure out where exactly I want it. So I'm gonna go about 1.5 inches up. So I'm going 1.5 inches up, and then I'm going to mark. And like I said, I leave the plastic on all of my hardware. Okay. And now I'm going to add some duct tape to the back of this so I don't injure myself. Okay. And now I'm going to add my purse feet. The purse feet I have are rivet purse feet. And I got these from Lux Hardware and More, I think. I will go back and leave a link to everything that I used. But there we go. Here is my front. And we have my back purse feet. Let's go ahead and do the purse feet. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change out my dies because the hardware is a little bit the hardware for this is uses a bigger die set. That way you don't see any dents in the purse feet. I find using a larger one helps. Where is... Trying to find my... Cannot find... Oh, there we go. Got it. Okay. So, I have my... I want to say this is a 11. Yes, this is an 11 size, or like the rivet press, and for my dies for the purse feet. And I'll show you what the purse feet look like. So they're just flat, and you can rivet them in, and they come in a big, come in a nice good size pack. I think I paid like $5, and I think they came in a pack of 50 or 100. Can't remember. I want to say 100. So I'm going to grab my purse bottom, find my template for purse feet. So I am using the purse feet by Pierre. This is a template that you can get off Tops and Bobbins. Let me find my middles first. For those that don't know me, I have an obsession with Tops and Bobbins right now. I just love their, I love the acrylic templates. They make it so much easier to cut. So I'm just finding my middles. This will help to find the middle purse feet. Okay. So let me see. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and mark my centers right now using a pen, which I feel will just give me a better visualized like area for where it needs to be. So just making sure everything lines up. I'm going to re-snip this one because it's not very noticeable. Okay, better. So this is where my fifth one will be. So that will be where my fifth purse feet will be. And now, hi Karen. Thank you for joining us. I'm still very new to lives. You'd think that I would like be since I do them in Swoon all the time, it'd be a lot, going to YouTube would be a lot easier, but I don't know, for some reason Lives on YouTube make me a little bit more nervous than the lives on Swoon. Okay, so I'm gonna do 1.5 inches for my purse feet. So I'm just going base off the bottom of my decovil heavy here. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. Oh, nope, that's my, making sure I actually use the 1.5 inch one and not the, and not the 1 3/8, because that would be really sad. So this is where my purse feet are gonna go, right here. And now I'm gonna grab my one where it punches holes. And I just like to line up the dot with the tip of my piercer. And then I just kind of hold it in place. Doing that to all of my, also depending on like where it's like sitting, I will use my hand punch. But I'm just gonna use my press. Okay, I'm gonna grab my second one so that we can put the purse feet in. So I'm gonna put all my rivets in, and then we can put my purse bottoms in. The bottom part of the foot. So they just look like regular rivets. And then they're flat bottoms here, you can see. And now all we do is we rivet them on. So I like to rivet mine with this part on the bottom of my rivet press, and this here where it has this like I don't like silicone maybe, or like rubber. So that's just how I like to press mine, and then I just make sure everything sits nice and lined up. Okay, so there we go. Purse feet, and they are rivet on. Carol, I got the purse feet from Lux Hardware and More, I believe is what the name of it is called. but I'll post a link. I guess I don't really know if I can go back and hopefully I can go back and post like put the links in the description box. But yeah, I got it from Lux. The shop owner's name is Ginger. So, and she has different colors, but the only ones that were in stock when I was able to purchase them was nickel and rose gold. I don't know if she has the gunmetal in stock right now. I haven't looked. Okay, so now real quickly, I'm just gonna move on to my lining pieces. I'm gonna add my zipper pocket and my slip pocket. I'm gonna find my centers just like I did with my main panels. And then I will show y'all how I put the Lola together, which is a lot different than what the pattern calls for. Like I said, I like to put the zipper on as if I was doing the Annette. I surprisingly really like that. I really like that method. So I'm going to make my slip pocket right now. And I just remembered I wanted to do a plastic, or not plastic, a vinyl overlay. So I'm gonna have to go and cut out a 1-inch strip in a little bit, but right now I'll just show you how I do my sides here. So I'm gonna grab my marking pen and my ruler, and I'm going to measure out a 1/2 inch from the edge of my of the long side of my zipper, not zipper, but slip pocket. So I'm measuring out a 1/2 inch here, and I'm measuring out a 1/2 inch on this side. And I believe my pocket is, let me measure out what my pocket is at. Because I use a template whenever I like a plastic, like Dollar Tree cutting mat. I just put all of my pockets on, like I'll measure it out onto there, and then I cut it out so that I always have different size pockets, and then I keep it on a key ring that sits right next to my cutting table, so I can grab whichever size I need. So this one here is a 12 by 8. So this is a 12 by 8 piece of waterproof canvas. And for like, I do that because it's just easier to fold it, and that will give you the size I want. Same with my zipper. I will just fold it, and you'll see because I'll do it here. And then I put my zipper on, and then it's just kind of already there. So I'm going to add double-sided tape right on the edge here of my pocket. And on the other side. So this is what it looks like. Marked in a 1/2 inch from the edge, and then I put a 1/4 inch of tape on the right there along the edge. I'm going to pull that off, and then I'm just going to fold this right up to the line. that I marked. This would give me, I won't have a raw edge. And I'm just going to do that to the other side now. And then I think I have a piece down here. Yeah. I actually already have a piece cut from when I did the Belle baby bag sew along for Swoon. So that works. So now I'm just gonna do what I did to the other side. I'm just going right up to that edge. So now, hi Kathy, yes, this will be saved. This will be saved for later. So you'll be able to rewatch this. So I have my edges folded in. So when you fold it, you now have a nice clean edge. It's not raw anymore. So, and this is how I do my slip pockets now. So I'm going to grab my cutting mat and this piece here. And I'm just going to cut it to the length that I need, a little bit past the length that I need. So let's see, I think it is so it's now 7.5 inches. I'm going to measure out a 9-inch, no, 8.5 inch. I'm going to measure this out, 8.5 inch. And then I'm going to cut that down to 1 inch. So now I have a 1-inch piece. And I'm going to mark down the center a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to put double-sided tape on this. So I'm going to add double-sided tape right down the center. Sorry, I have specific scissors that I use to cut like double-sided tape and stuff. That way I don't dull my other scissors, my snips for my threads. So that tape was put down the middle. I just took it off. And now I have my slip pocket here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the raw edge of my waterproof canvas or cotton if you're using cotton. And I'm just going to butt it up right against that line we drew. And this is why I leave a little bit of an overhang, just so that I don't have to like be specific on the edges. I just have to worry about doing a straight line. So there's a little bit of overhang. That's okay. Because now I can fold this. If you want, you can actually, normally I baste it, but I got ahead of myself. So normally I will baste the edges, which actually that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to baste just so it doesn't shift and I get a nice even, slip pocket. So I'm going to just baste the raw edge where it opens. I'm going to clip so that I know that my edges are even. Do the same thing to my other side. And now I'm just going to baste. I am basting this on with a stitch length of 3. I'm going to turn on my light because I'm just basting 1/8 of an inch from that edge, making sure that everything is nice and even. Okay. So it's basted. I'm going to do the same thing I was just saying to do. I'm going to line it up. It'll be a lot easier now because you basted this, so it's not going to shift on you. And now you just are going to fold this over to match that overhang. So then you have like a 1/2 inch vinyl overlay. So if you look, so you have this, and then you have it on this side too. Now I'm going to put my stitch length to a 5 again because I'm going to top stitch, and I'm going to top stitch all along this edge here. You want to just make sure that everything stays nice and even. So I'm just top stitching 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the little vinyl overlay that I did. Okay. And now it's top stitched and it's caught on the back. And so now you have where it's no raw edges or anything, you'll cut off these ends here. So we're going to cut this extra vinyl. So it's nice and even. And then when you put it on, you'll have a nice overlay of a slip pocket. So I'm just going to fold this so I get like a crease. I'm just kind of eyeballing. I want to go about 1 inch to 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. Actually, I'm going to go 1 inch down. I think that should be a good size. Making sure it's even. And now I'm just going to stitch around. And add some clips to the bottom. Pretty much once we finish doing the zipper pocket and the slip pocket, I feel like it goes by fairly quickly putting the bag together after this. So I'm going to put my stitch length to a 5 still because I'm going to be top stitching, and I'm going to start. I'm not starting at my vinyl. I'm going to start right below where my vinyl is at. I'm going to go all the way around and then stop right underneath my vinyl again. So I'm not going to be stitching this, the vinyl overlay, because I'm actually going to rivet this into place. And then also, I'm just going to keep my thread tails long. I'm going to tie them off in the back. I'm going 1/8 of an inch from the edge of my slip pocket. Like I said, I'm just going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so there we go. My slip pocket is done. I'm going to pull my threads to the back, tie them off, and then I'm going to rivet my overlay piece. And this is just so that I don't have any backstitch sewing on my bag from the inside. And I just like to knot it like 3 or 4 times. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Let me just do it one more time. And then I like to just grab a little duct tape. So I keep my tails just a little bit long, and then I'll just tape them down. Yes, Cindy. I know that, like, because when I had a baby lock soprano before I switched over to my industrial, and it did take some adjusting on like not having my threads automatically cut. Also on my machine, it automatically like back tacks, so like it'll go 3 stitches and then it'll reverse 3 stitches and then I'll start sewing. So I missed that, and then I also missed the needle down. And also, like on the baby lock, you can, because it's like a quilting machine, you could you could have it had an option to like automatically, like when you stop, needle will go down and the presser foot will go up, so it was easier to pivot or like adjust and stuff. So I did miss that. But now, like if I do go and sew on my industrial or my domestic machine, I find that like I not used. I always want to like hand crank to put my needle down or like snip my threads. So I'm just getting my thread zapper so that I can get these threads off here. Making sure I don't burn my fabric or vinyl. Okay, now I'm just going to eyeball where I want my rivets to be. Just making sure that wherever I do decide, I don't accidentally go through my top stitching at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to put my feet back on, or my normal rivet guys on. And then you can rivet the, if you want, you could do a longer pocket. I'd say you could probably do a little bit of longer pocket, and if you wanted to split it or like, kind of do like a section down on the side here, and so you can put like a pin, you would just do the same thing where you didn't go all the way to the top of the vinyl, you just went underneath, and then you would just rivet right at that section that you sectioned off. I'm just tightening up my screws. So these are just small ones. I believe that these here are from Lux Hardware. These, I believe, are from, these might be from Amazon. And then I do have some Emmeline rivets also. So, okay, so now we can just rivet these on using our press. And there we go. So now we have like an overlay, so an overlay pocket. Like, I just like the look of it. It's just my current thing I'm going through. I do pretty much all my slip pockets like this. Now we can do a zipper. I'm just using a number 5 zipper for mine. So this is 8 inches wide. I'm going to do a 7-inch zipper, I believe. Yeah, so my zipper is going to be 7 inches. And I'm going to fold this so I can get my center crease. And I pretty much just go a 1/2 inch from the top. And like I said, I am using a number 5 zipper, not a number 3. Sometimes, normally I do a number 3, but I didn't grab a number 3 zipper head, so I'm just going to stick with the number 5 since that's what I have. So I'm opening up my pocket because you don't want to accidentally sew it down like this because you want it to be open. So making sure that the line that I put is, I'm going to go 1 inch from the bottom like I did on my slip pocket. I'm going to grab a couple of clips just to hold this in. Doesn't shift. So I used to use my metal clips all the time, but now I've kind of been like nervous to use them because a while back I was using the clips like I normally do, these metal ones, and I wasn't paying attention. I didn't pull it out quick enough, and my needle hit one, and it messed up my feed dogs. So I've been really nervous. I've just been using plastic clips. But I really do, I like using these clips. But lately I haven't been. Okay, so I'm just making sure that when my needle goes down, it's going to hit that line. And I adjust my stitch length to 2.5. I'm just going to follow that line all the way. And now I'm just going to go back down, making sure that where my needle goes down, that it's even with this side of that I just stitched of my pocket or zipper line. So I'm back stitching, and now okay, trim off these extra threads here. Deb, so I don't use the corresponding die. So the die that I have in my Gold Star rivet press is a 9mm, I believe. So that's the one I always use, and then I use every rivet that goes with that one, or I use a small, medium, and large, I believe. I'm able to use the large on this one. Yeah, and I use the large on this one too. And then the only time I use the bigger die is for the purse feet, because those are, I want to say, like maybe they're like an 11 mm. And so I got the bigger ones to accommodate, because it's not like a double cap rivet, it has that like, it has that flat part, and I don't want to accidentally, I guess, cause like where if I press it, it will dent the actual foot of the feet of the purse. So that's the only die that I like do coordinating with. Other than that, I always have the 9mm. It's the one that came with the Gold Star rivet press. Yeah, Cindy, the walking foot on the when I had the baby lot, I like because I always used a walking foot, and it would like wear down quickly. And the ones for the baby locks is super super bulky. No, I didn't make this shirt. I actually bought this from can't remember where. I bought it a while back. It was like a small business, and they had this, and so I was just supporting them. So it's this one's not vinyl; it's screen printed on. So that's nice. Oh, it's cool. See, Lux Hardware, the one that I purchased from, I believe she's in Houston, and so I normally get my like she ships really quickly. Like I placed an order at like noon, and she shipped like an hour later, and I got it the next day. So I want to say, I think it's an 11mm for that one. I'll have to double check my. I have to label these so I can remember. But I know that it coordinates with the size of the purse feet. So whatever the size of purse feet is what size my die is for that feet purse feet, the rivet purse feet. Yes, it did take some time getting used to mine. Um, like I said, I use the 9mm on my dies for everything, and I don't even think I have a 9mm die. Most of them are 8. Let me see. So yeah, most of them are 8 by 6 mm. I guess the medium ones are 9 by 8 mm. Let me see what the large are. Okay, so the large are 9 by 10 mm, and I use my 9 on this, so I probably should like go up on this one, but um, I do know that like I was getting impression marks also on my vinyl, but I was just pressing too hard. Um, like I said, it did get me. I did have to adjust, and I found because I took that like plastic or rubber thing off of my the 9mm dies, and I found that really helps me line up my cap so that it's not like crooked or anything. Because I found that with the with this plastic thing that it was hard to line up my rivets. So that's why I don't have that plastic on mine. I do keep that rubber thing on the bigger one because it's easier to put in the purse feet in there than the other rivets. So okay, so I'm going to now real quickly. I'm just gonna measure out a 1/2 inch from the edge of my 1/2 inch from the edge of where my box is at. And I'm going to get my rotary cutter, and I'm just going to go right down the middle. Get my scissors, and then I'm going to go as close as I can to my stitch line without going over it. Okay, I'm going to warm up my so I'm just warming up my iron real quickly so that I can press this. First, this vinyl or this waterproof canvas is from Walmart, and it's a lot softer than the waterproof canvas from Fabric Warehouse Direct. So this one I find is a little bit easier to work with because, like I said, it is significantly thinner. So I'm just pressing these seams down, and then I'm gonna hit it with some steam, and then real quickly. Okay, there we go. So now I have my pocket. So my zipper pocket is done. Let me grab my zipper. And like I said, I don't pre-cut my zippers until until I get to that part. Now I'm going to even up my edges. I'm just going to run a lighter over the ends of my zipper so that it doesn't fray. And then grab my. I'm really bummed because I got that plastic, or not plastic, but the 3D zipper, like the zipper jig from Bad Stitches, and I 100% it was my fault. I have put everything in a drawer now, and I stuck it in the drawer, but it was a little too high, so when I closed the drawer, it broke the things off, so I gotta buy another one. I was super bummed because I liked how easy it was to just stick on my table. So So I'm going to put on my try one more time. I'm not very good at the zipper jig. I just got it like in December, but like, I don't know. I cannot get the hang of it. Like, I feel like everyone else I see that does it so quickly. Like Lauren, she does it quick. And I'm like, having to do like multiple attempts. And then sometimes I end up just doing it by hand like I normally do. Okay. Now, just going to place my zipper on. And top stitch this. And I keep my top stitch at a 3 whenever I do this. I don't do a long top stitch. I just stitch around it. I just like the look of that. So I'm going to start from this edge. And I'm just going to make sure everything is even. Making sure that my pocket is open. So you want one end of your pocket open this way and one end open the other way. You don't want to accidentally close it up. And then I'm just going to top stitch a 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Do one more stitch and then making sure that my needle or my zipper is I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch all the way down on the other end. Okay. My pocket is done. So there we go. Pocket. Now I'm just going to match my bottoms up right here. Yes. I used to, and it was actually so much quicker. I know like when I'm like just regular sewing and I'm not live, I tend to do them by hand. But I thought it was just gonna be quicker. I'm also very like nitpicky about like I'm sure like the many attempts I do on my zipper jig, are fine, but like, I don't know, I'm super nitpicky. So like, if I just feel like it's not perfect, I'll do it again. So right now I'm just lining up my edges here best I can. And then I'm folding up like a 1/4 inch on the ends here of my, about a 1/4 inch of my zipper pocket. This will just help whenever I go to close my zipper. So I'm just making sure it's all even here, as even as it can be. And then I'm just going to sew down this edge here. Move this out of the way. I'm sewing at like a 1/4 of an inch. My stitch length is at a 3 still. My zipper out of the way. And then right when I get over this teeth, I'm going to back stitch a little bit, just so it's nice and secure. Okay, so I got one side done. Now I'm going to do my other side. This time I'm going from the top. Still sewing this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go over my zipper teeth a couple times. And now my zipper pocket is just about done. I'm gonna cut off this thread, and then I'm just going to miter this corner. I'm just gonna go at an angle and just get some of this bulk off. This will help when it comes time to turn my bag. So I just kind of cut at a little bit of an angle here. That will just help. So now it will just make it easy whenever I pull my zipper through to top stitch. So it'll be like it will just want to automatically fold that way. So I'm not having to fight it when I get to that part. So here's my zipper, and the zipper is done. So now we can start putting our bag together. Thank you, Deb. It's okay, Sarah. You'll be able to replay this at the end. You'll be able to replay this because I'll post it up to my face or my I'll post it up to my YouTube. Okay, so what I did is I just kind of need to always go over the seam allowance for the bottom pocket. So what I'm going to do is I want to mark out these, oh my goodness. I'm going to mark out a 1/2 inch from each of the sides. So there's a 1/2 inch and there's a 1/2 inch. And I actually have, I thought I had 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to use these 1/2" little markers here that I have. These are just for box corners, but they're 1/2" in width, so just easier. So 1/2". Okay, so there's a 1/2" mark for each of my lines. This is where I'm going to be marking. Also, I have my center, so that helps too. So I'm matching my centers. So I have right sides together. So I'm matching my centers. Yes, I am a slow sewer, and it's a lot of it is just because I am a perfectionist. So these are marked, and I'm gonna sew from the right side of the not the right side, but the wrong side of my zipper or my bottom base of my Lola, because I can see those marks. And I'm only stitching at the start. So I'm going to start stitching. I'm going to put my needle down right here. I'm going to sew all the way until I get to the other 1/2" mark that I made. And I'm going to stop. And I'm making sure that I backstitch. My stitch length, I'm going to put to a 3.5 just because I'm using vinyl. I want to make sure I don't see any stitching. So I'm just making sure everything lines up. Put my needle down for that 1/2", making sure I reverse, and then I'm just gonna go 1/2" seam allowance all the way down until I get to my other 1/2" marking. So my needle is down, I hit that marking, I'm gonna back stitch. And so there you go, it is done. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to top stitch this. So I'm going to put my stitch length to a 5. I'm trying to decide. I'm only going to backstitch right where I started and stopped. I'm not going to go past. So let me find my vinyl marking tool. And I can kind of see where I start and stopped. And I'm just going to mark it just so I don't go past it. And I'm going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just making sure my needle is down. Oops, and then of course I went past the marking because I was not paying attention. So that's okay because I'm just going to, these holes will be in the seam allowance, so we don't have to worry about seeing them. I just want to keep that 1/2 inch so that it's easy for me to attach the side panels. That's why I don't want to go past. So I'm going to put my stitch down, my needle back down, and then I'm just going to go a couple stitches to lock it in where I accidentally went past. Okay. And now I'm going to snip my threads. So there's my top stitching right there. I'm going to make sure I put my stitch leaf back to a 3.5, and we are going to do the same exact thing we did to the front side to the back side. So I'm going to match my centers, and then I'm going to match my that 1/2 inch marking to the center of these triangles. So, and we're going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to stitch on the other side. We're going to start at that 1/2 inch marking that we made on the end, making sure we backstitch. And make sure I hold everything so it doesn't. So 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to go all the way down on this 1/2 inch seam allowance, really making sure I stop that other 1/2 inch, and then we're going to backstitch. Okay, so now we have our Lola should be like this. Oops. Okay, and just like before, we're going to backstitch. This time I'm going to make sure I actually stop where I'm supposed to. So just like before, 1/8 of an inch, going to start right at that 1/2 inch mark. Put my stitch length to a 5. I'm just going to go all the way down and then backstitch. And that will be done. And I'm only just doing the long sides. I'm not going to do the other sides. So there's my backstitching. Just going to grab my baby wipe and wipe those markings away. And now I'm actually going to mark out these sides here. So I want to mark on my back side, I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch box. This will just help for when I'm placing my zipper. Really, it's just meant for, really, it's just for this here, because this is where I'm going to start my zipper, and then I'm going to let some of it overhang. So I just want to make sure that I stop in a like consistent area. I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other side. So I really just want it to be more so here. Do the same thing here. Okay. And then I'm just going to make sure that they line up. And they do. So I have markings on each side of my panel. So now I'm going to clip the sides because, like I said, I do the Lola differently than how the pattern has you do it. So this is when I start kind of going off track. So I'm going to construct my side panels first. I'm going to construct the bag, and then I add the zipper in just as if I was doing the Annette handbag. So in the Annette pattern, it has you put together the exterior and lining. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pin on this side, or not pin, I'm going to clip. Okay, so I just clipped my side panels here, and we're going to stitch this all the way at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Oh, yay! I'm so glad it arrived. Um, yes, so our next shipment will go out on Monday. So we've just been folding a lot of interfacing. Because if you saw our Instagram, we had like 800 yards sent to us. So I'm just closing this just to pin it closed so it doesn't shift. So yeah, we've been folding like there's no tomorrow, and then we will start cutting on Monday. So we are sewing this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So make sure everything lines up. I have my stitch length to a 3. I'm gonna do it to like 3 1/4 because this is not vinyl. So 1/2 inch seam allowance, making sure everything stays nice and lined up. I just like to make sure that because sometimes like if you have these clips and stuff, it'll hit your desk and shift it. So just want to make sure you adjust. And I'm going a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way. And I'm going to grab my ruler because I want to stop right, not where the, like, right where the curve kind of starts, and I'll show you when where the straight ends and it starts to curve. So you can kind of see, like, right here where the curve is, I just draw a line to, like, stop. I'm going to do my other side. So a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down, and then we're going to, after this, we'll put our bottom together, and then we will grab our lining and do the same exact thing that we did to our main panel to this one. So I'm just making sure everything is nice and lined up. Everything is moving. Okay. Making sure I backstitch. I'm just going a 1/2 inch. I'm getting close to the end. I'm going to have my needle down, grab my ruler like I did previously. I want to make sure everything sits neatly together. And right where it starts. Mark it. Okay. Like I said, I am doing my Lola differently. So there we go. Now we can do our, now we can do the, so what I like to do is I like to line up my centers together. So the seam and my center that I marked on the bottom of my bag is what I want to line up. And then I'm going to clip the bottom. Okay. So just make sure everything is nice and lined up. It's gonna look a little weird because it's not like a box, it's put together like a box corner, but it's not because it's a curve. So there we go. And I'm gonna sew from the back side because I want to be able to see where I'm supposed to start and stop. So just gonna turn my clips around to help me. Make sure everything lines up. And we're going to start at the 1/2 inch marking that we have on the bag. My phone on silent mode. Sorry. Okay. So I'm gonna put my stitch length to 3.5 because I'm sewing the vinyl back stitching, and we're just gonna go around this curve, making sure everything stays nice and straight. We are going to stop right at the next 1/2 inch marking. Right here, I'm gonna go a little bit more at that 1/2 inch because I wasn't fully all the way there. There we go. Perfect. Or better. Okay. Now we're gonna do the same exact thing to our other side. So I like to start by matching my seam with my center of my bag base, flip, and then from there I can just open up and clip. Okay. And now, just like we did to the other side, we're going to do the same exact thing. Half-inch seam allowance. Putting my needle down. And then just following my, I'm going to follow that half-inch seam allowance. And when I get to that 1/2 inch, I'm going to backstitch, and that's where I'll stop sewing. And now you can open up your bag and see how it looks. Picking out my corners. And then my bottom. So I am not going to clip any of my seams just because it will help that like bulk, like this bulk here will help push my bottoms out and keep it nice and crisp. So and I did use Decovil light, so I might have to hit this with some steam, but it looks like it's not super wrinkled. I can see where the decovil is wrinkled. Okay, so that is what the bag looks like right now. Set that aside because now we are going to be doing the same exact thing to our lining. And let me just see what the seam allowance is for the lining, because I keep the seam allowance. I keep the seam allowance the same. Let me see. I want to say it might be 5/8 of an inch for the lining, but I could be wrong. No, it looks like it's still a 1/2 inch for the lining also. Okay. So we're going to sew this at a 1/2 inch. Doing the same thing, I'm going to mark my centers on my bottom panel just because it makes it easy to line up. So I'm using 2 different colors. So just making sure my centers line up on my sides for when I do my centers here, my quarter marks. There we go. So my centers are marked. I don't know. To be honest with you, I think decovil is its own thing. There is no like comparison to decovil. You could, if you put 2 layers of Sewfuse onto woven cotton, it would be thicker than if you put decovil onto, like if you put 1 layer of decovil onto the cotton. So it's a good in between, but I wouldn't say it's something that you can replace decovil with, just because decovil is its own thing. You know, it's decovil is non-woven. Sewfuse is a woven interfacing. So they're also 2 different interfacings. Just from the feedback and the reviews that I've got, that Sewfuse Plus doesn't wrinkle as much as decovil does sometimes. So now we're going to do the same exact thing that I did to the other side. We're going to match or mark a 1/2 inch box on each end of our so we want to match the you definitely could do Sewfuse Plus on vinyl instead of the decovil. I made a bag. It's a Momex. It's called Momex, I believe, by Country Cow Creations, and I used all Sewfuse on that bag. I will recommend that you, if you're using a domestic, that you cut it out of the seam allowance, because it made the vinyl super thick. So I would definitely cut it out of the seam allowance. But yes, you could definitely do that. I know that sometimes like I'll replace like fleece with the Sewfuse Plus or foam with Sewfuse Plus. Like the Country Cow Creation Momexa, they wanted you to use foam, and I substituted the Sewfuse Plus instead of the foam. But my vinyl was relatively thick to begin with. It was I got it from Marine Vinyl Fabric, and their vinyl is thicker than Fabric Warehouse Direct Vinyl. It doesn't stretch as much, which is nice. But like this one here that I use, the black, is from Fabric Warehouse Direct, and it stretches sometimes, or a lot of the time, depending on what way it was cut. So I have my stitch length to 3.5 for my lining. I am doing the same exact thing that I did with my exterior. So we're starting at that 1/2 inch. We lined everything up, the centers, and then the cutouts, the triangle cutouts. And now we're just going to sew this all the way down. And I'm sewing at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And when I get to the 1/2 inch mark, I'm going to backstitch, and that's where I'm going to stop sewing. So I'm getting close to a couple stitches. There we go. Backstitch. Okay, I will not be top stitching my lining. So now we can just go ahead, mark our center seams here. I'm actually gonna go from the other side just because I have those 1/2 inch markings. So I'm just lining up my bottoms, making sure they match, they're even. And just like before, make sure that everything is out of the way. I'm not accidentally gonna sew anything I'm not supposed to. So I have my needle almost down, and then I can just adjust my fabric to go where I want it to start. So I'm gonna backstitch. I'm just gonna go a 1/2 inch all the way down until we get to the other 1/2 inch marking here, and backstitch. Okay. And now bring out a bobbin. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did to my exterior. I'm going to mark those, that 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark, first I'm going to mark right where, the curve starts, because that's where I sew up to for this bag. And then a 1/2 inch from here. So it's kind of like this. So where the start is, and then a 1/2 inch, that's where I want to start my zipper. Do the same exact thing. Mark where that curve starts. We're going to do a 1/2 inch from our edge here. And our other side. Okay, there we go. Now we can sew up our side, and then we can put our zipper on, and then we're pretty much done after that. We birth the bag. So I just like to clip this here, and then I'm going to make sure everything lines up, and it does. And now I'm going to clip my edges, because we're going to sew this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way up, stopping at that line that I made. And then we can finish our base. So like I said, I'm doing the Lola different than what the pattern calls for. So I'm going to start from this end. My stitch length is going to be at a 3.5 still, and we're stitching this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Going to make sure I back stitch. Half inch all the way down. Making sure everything stays nice and even. Okay. And snip. Now we can do our other side. Same thing. 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way up until we get to that 1/2 inch marking at the top. Making sure everything lines up. And then back stitch. Okay. Now that we've done our sides and our bottoms, we're going to match up the seam with the center marking that we made. Line everything up. It's remembering that this is a curve, so it's not going to be like an actual like straight like the like you are normally used to with a boxing like tote or something. So we're going to do the same thing. We are going to start here, back stitching. So we'll put our needle down here. We're going to back stitch, go all the way, and then stop at this marking right here and back stitching. So half inch seam allowance. Making sure everything stays nice and aligned. I like to open up my seams at the bottom. And then back stitching. Okay, so thank you, Lauren. Yes, it's hard. Like I feel like it's hard talking about like my own stuff, like as in like my opinion and stuff, because like I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to make them buy my stuff. So it's nice when other people can voice their opinions or how they feel, their feedback. Just feels more genuine. Oops. Just because I know that with interfacing, it can really also be like preference too. Like me, I don't really like foam, so I mostly substitute it with decovil light. Like this here, this bag here, I'm making with decovil light and no foam and Sewfuse. So I have a layer of Sewfuse, and then I have my decovil light on top. So, okay. So I just matched up my corners just like we did before, and I'm going to start at that marking, half inch seam allowance. Making sure everything stays nice and aligned. Make sure my needle is down if I need to adjust. And mainly I say that for me to remember, because sometimes I'll forget and I just like tear it out from under my needle and I'm like, okay, so that is done. Looks good. And now if you want, you can check to make sure that it's sitting right, your bottoms. So I'm just gonna pull my vinyl out. I just want to make sure that it's, or my waterproof canvas. I want to make sure that it's not like there's no holes or anything, and there isn't. If you go up to that marking, that half inch marking that you did, you should not have any gapping or holes in the bottom. So yeah, so no holes or anything. That's my lining bottom. I'm going to turn this back to wrong sides out. Like I said, I am doing my Lola differently than what the pattern suggests. And constructing it like a net. So you can see the inside of my lining. No puckers or anything. Looks good. Open my zipper and we can set that aside because now we're going to grab our main panel and our zipper. When it comes to the zipper, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it because I do want a little bit of overhang because I'm going to have a zipper, end on mine. So I probably cut it way over than what it needs to be, but you can always trim down if you need to. So I'm going to run the slider over the edge so that I don't have any fraying. And I'm going to put my zipper pull. And I'm super excited because I'm using this from So Dulce. So can't wait to use it. Make sure I'm not missing any comments. That sounds like fun. Being able to get your own bigger sewing room. I know it's been nice when I upgraded to this convertible garage when we moved because I was so cramped in the small like bedroom that I was in. Felt like I couldn't move or anything. So I'm running my lighter over the ends one more time. So I have my zipper pull on. Deb, I got the zipper from Amazon. I just want to say I bought the zipper only for the zipper heads. They have like these really cool like triangle ones, and I find that they're really nice quality. So that's why. But I like it. It's rainbow. This is the name of it, and you've probably seen this person because they were spamming quite a few times in like bag stock and stuff on like bags. I know in bag stock, also in Swoon, like they would just randomly put their they would randomly put their whatchamacallit on, like their link for their zipper, even though it could have been like My Handmade Space zippers or something else. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I like to just turn my zipper at that 90-degree angle and then baste it, just so I don't have to worry about it, because I'm not the best at like doing it kind of like the Amy Butler way. So I'm just going to, within my seam allowance, pin it so that I don't have to unpin it. So and then I'm going to make sure they're even. So I just pull my zipper pull up, and they are even. So now I'll just pull it down and I'll baste it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Just right there on the edge. I just use a regular I just use a regular seam or a regular stitch length. I don't like make it bigger or anything. So I'm just gonna use my silhouette, I think that's what it's called, to hold down. And like I said, I'm very nitpicky, so simple things take me a long time to do. Like things that should probably be fairly quick take me about 2 to 3 times longer because I will just fiddle with it until I think it's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same exact thing to my other side, making sure everything sits nice and even. Okay, and so there we go. These are done. Ooh, that would be really nice. That'd be super nice. I had a separate cutting area because the like cutting out interfacing and stuff. If you're cutting like like a regular before I was cutting interfacing, I didn't have a lot of like dust or anything like fabric dust because I wasn't cutting like 6 to 7 hours a day. Well, 6 to 8 hours a day. So um but now it's like there's dust, like fabric dust everywhere. I have a air purifier, but it doesn't really work. Okay, so you can see where my half inch marking is, and I'm just lining up my zipper there. And then I'm gonna clip. And I'm gonna baste this on. So I'm just pinning all the way here. And then for my zipper here, I'm actually gonna mark again because I want it to kind of, since I want a long zipper tail, I want it to trail off, so I need to mark it in just a tad bit more. But I need to find I don't know where it is. I have a 1/2 inch ruler, but I have no idea where I put it. Okay, maybe it's in here. So on my end, so this is going to be, so we're doing our front right now. So I like to make sure that my zipper is being opened so it opens to the right and closes to the left. So that is what I'm doing. So I just want to mark this. I'm going to say a 1/2 inch again. No. Yeah. So I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch in from the other marking because that's where I'm going to start trailing it off. So a 1/2 inch from this marking. And you could do all this like beforehand. So like instead of marking a 1/2 inch Over, you can mark like 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch over. I just did not do that. Okay, so I have extra markings here. This is where I'm going to start trailing off my zipper end. I'm going to get I'm always losing my stuff. I need to find, oh, there it is. Okay. So then I want to, just with I'm going to use my marking pen and just kind of mark it on my exterior, and then I just match it up to make sure that it matches that side, and it does. So that is marked, and I can continue clipping, but then I can know where I need to start trailing off my zipper. Okay, so it is clipped on. Now I'm going to base this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And if you need to, you can totally open up your zipper and do this if you want. Probably would make it easier. And then I just starting making sure my zipper lines up. And I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, back stitching at the start and stop. And then I just make sure that my zipper lines up to my edge as I go around. I'm going to close my zipper so that it's out of the way. Okay, and now I'm getting close to that marking, so I just want to make sure I'm mindful of that and don't accidentally. And so now I'm just going to pull it out of the way because I'm getting close to marking for a couple steps. I'm just lifting my foot up and checking, and now I'm there, so I'm going to pull it out of the way. Just slightly pull it, and then continue stitching a little bit more until I'm off of that. And then back stitch. Okay, so that is the marking. So I put my needle down and then I pull this out of the way and then I can just continue down all the way. And that is how I start to trail off on my zipper. And real quickly, I'm going to sew this at the bottom here so that my zipper doesn't accidentally fall off, because I am going to open it when I do my other side. So now what I'm going to do is I like to pull my zipper. So I pull my zipper just a little bit, and then I just pull this over here, and I'll start right there on that end. And then I'm going to pull it all the way. That way I know that it's the right way and that it's not going to twist. And then I can show you how I check it to still make sure that it's in the right spot. So I'm going to clip down my end, and I'm going to start from this side and clip my way all the way down. So now I just kind of check by closing my zipper as if I was going to close it. And you can see that it will close correctly because it is the right way. It's not twisted or anything. So now I can just unzip my zipper all the way to the end, since I know it's not going to fall off. And then we will start from this end here. And I'm going to start a little bit past, so I see my marking is like right here. So I'm going to start a little past where that's supposed to be. So let's see, pull my zipper out of the way. Okay, so start in. So I'm going to use my stiletto, and I'm going to hold my zipper right where that marking is at, and then pull it out of the way with my other hand so that I know that it's going to be identical to my other side. Because I made sure that for my other side, I made sure that I started to move it out of the way when my needle was lined up to that marking. So if I just hold it there, I'll be able to. So I'm going to start a couple stitches and back stitch. I'm going 1/8 of an inch. Okay, perfect. And then I just kind of double check. And now I can make sure it's out of the way, and then I can back stitch one more time to make sure that everything okay. And now I'm just going to baste this at 1/8 of an inch all the way around, like I did the other side. bag, making sure my needle is down. I want to make sure everything is nice and even, lined up to the edge of my panel, my main panel. And just like my other side, I'm going at 1/8 of an inch and basting. So I'm just adjusting. Making sure my needle is down. Then making sure everything is lined up how it's supposed to be. And then putting the lining on is obviously a lot easier because you have your zipper basted already. So you're not having to worry about making sure everything lines up. So now you can check to see how your zipper is going to be or look. There we go. So now we're going to put our lining. I like my slip pocket to be on the front, so I'm going to make sure that my zipper pocket is on the back. And I'm going to slip my zipper pocket in and make sure that my zipper here is out of the way. Uh-oh. My phone is about to, so let me move y'all up a little bit so I can plug y'all in. And we're almost done. Like, all we're doing is this lining part, and it'll be completed. There we go. Okay. So I like to, on this one here, I kind of pull my bottom up a little bit so that it gives me more room to push my exterior, my exterior in so that I can line everything up. And this is where I just line up so I have that center nick here, and I have it here on my main panel, and that is what I line up. And then I line up my seams. So, center. And I just want to make sure that my zipper is not twisted, and that they're out of the way. So just want to move them. So now I'm just lining up my seams. do the same thing. Here. So lining up my seams, and then from there I can start lining up everything else. And so now I can line up the edges here, making sure my zipper is straight. And I'm also an over clipper, so you'll see a lot of clips come out. So I want to make sure that my zipper is out of the way so it doesn't get caught when I stitch this, because like I said, I want it to be able to pull out since I have a zipper tail. So I'm just making sure everything's nice and straight on my lining and lined up. So one side is done, and now we can move on to the other side. So just like the other side, I want to make sure that my zipper is out of the way. It's not going to get caught. Just pulling everything down, making sure it's even. I need to like put my hand through and adjust my zipper. I'm just going to continue lining all this up. I'm going to pull my main lining up a little bit more so that I can make sure. Okay, so now we have this. And we are going to sew this at a 1/4 of an inch is what I sew mine. If you have a zipper foot, you can do 3/8 of an inch if you want to, but I find that 1/4 of an inch is fine for me. And I just do this the same way I did my exterior. All right. So just gonna get this underneath my foot. If you had a cylinder machine, it would be probably a lot easier, but I don't have one. So I'm starting right where my zipper is at, and Just making sure I can feel my zipper teeth. Like I said, I'm going to sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to go all the way around at a 1/4 inch. You just kind of take it slow, go around these curves. Make sure my needle is down when I adjust. Like I said, just make sure that everything is lined up. I'm getting close to this end, so I kind of just like to make sure that my zipper pull is out of the way, and it is. So I'm just adjusting this right here because we're going to need to pivot in a little bit. Just going. Now, just going to adjust, making sure that my make sure that my zipper is out of the way, and it is. So now, just continue on all the way. Just continuing at that 1/4 inch seam allowance for the zipper. Just squishing my bag and getting through it. Really doing the pivoting at the corners is a little bit tricky, but once you get past that, it's the good thing is your zipper is basted, so like you don't have to worry about your zipper moving so much. You just want to make sure that everything is lined up. Okay, and now I'm going to pivot. Okay. Here, I got these off of Amazon. And to be honest with you, they come in a pack of 200. They're not the multicolor ones, but I find that these are a lot stronger and better than the multicolor pack that you get. So I'll try to find the link. Well, I'll be able to get the link off of my Amazon account, but I really, really, really like those. Okay, so here's a moment of truth when it comes to the now it's time to turn it. I always get super nervous because, like I said, I'm doing the Lola completely different than what the pattern calls for. So I'm going to bird this through if you want, you could leave I always forget that I could like leave this open and bird it through um, and then I end up just making it harder for myself by trying to bird it through this tiny, tiny hole. But I'm just getting my hand and poking out everything, making sure it sits nicely. And then we will then we're going to top stitch the around the zipper area. And that will help make everything sit nice a lot better. So I'm just going to close this to kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And then I'm going to have to iron this out because I did use decovil light. So it's kind of, it is a little, wrinkled. Just where the decovil light is at, which is right here in this middle. So I'm going to use some of these clips now to clip my seam down so that I can top stitch, and then we're done. All I need to do is rivet my handles on, and then I got a t-shirt, a sublimation shirt I need to make because I'm making it for my mom for Mother's Day. And this bag, pretty much all the sewing I'm probably going to get done for this week. I do have one more bag I need to make. So I'm just turning down all the edges here so that my lining is down and that my vinyl is nice so that I can top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch around this an eighth of an inch. So I'm going to put my seam allowance or my stitch length to a 5. I'm going to check my bobbin to make sure. I think I'm good. Thank you. Yes, I'm super excited. For those that haven't checked, um, oh, there's a new backpack out called the OMG, and I will be posting it because it's my day to post it, but I was able to test it, and it is an amazing bag. Ilona is the one that made it. It's seriously gorgeous. Okay, so I like to start from the back because, you know, I don't want anybody to see my wonky top stitching. And plus, I feel like using the back, it kind of gets me in the rhythm for the front. By then, I've kind of like gained control of my machine. So I'm just going to start a little bit above where that like center seam is at. I'm going to squish my bag down. Seriously, cannot wait until I get a cylinder machine. Mainly just for this top stitching. Stuff like this. Okay. Just really trying to get my needle down. Okay. And now I'm going to top stitch this all the way around. So I'm actually going to go a couple of stitches and then back stitch just to kind of get me started. And then making sure my needle is down when I adjust. And like I said, I am an over clipper on everything that I do. So even when I make when I was making children's clothing, I also used like every pin that I had. So I'm just moving them out of the way as I go down. I'm making sure that my needle is down when I adjust. And just making sure everything is nice and flat. almost to the front. This is where it kind of gets tricky, like right in this area where it like, but I don't know. I really just like doing it. I know the Annette probably makes it harder. It would have just been easier if I followed the instructions for the actual Lola, but apparently I like making things difficult for myself. So just making sure the lining is inside. Because right when I get to this, one more stitch. Okay, I'm in that same, and so now I'm just going to pivot. Make sure everything gets under my foot, and my needle's down because I don't want to actually need to go one more stitch, and then I'll be able to. So I'm going to line up. Okay, so now I can go back up, top stitching at that 1/8 of an inch. I'm at the front of my bag, so I really like to go slow and take my time. And now we're almost to the back. So I'm just going to really make sure this seam lays flat. And then I'm just going to connect it to, just going to cut out. It looks like my machine had sucked up some extra thread. I didn't hold my threads like I was supposed to. My machine likes to do that, so I'm just going to cut that and adjust, and then thank you, Deb. Yes, we're just about done. I'm just going to press this, hit this with some steam, and put it, let my, so I'm just hitting my iron, or I guess I have like a makeshift iron that I made. I'm going to hit it with steam, make it nice and warm, and then I will hit it with steam again. Put it on my table one more time to get my vinyl nice and, there we go. So there is my outside. I need to close up my zipper. Hopefully I don't forget. And now I'm just going to real quickly put on my zipper in, rivet my handles, and we are done. just need some double-sided tape. So I just have my double-sided tape, and I just add it onto my ends here and fold over. So I just kind of fold over like this. This will make it easier for me to put it on. I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac. Add a little bit in there. I'm going to let it kind of like drip down in there. And then I can Thank you, Deb. Yes, I'm pretty excited about the colors. I'm just pushing all this in. Make sure it's all the way at the bottom. And okay, so there we go. My zipper tail is in. And now I can do my handles. Normally I don't do my handles on camera. Hopefully I can hear me. My thing's died. So I like to have my nice folded edge I like my folded edge to be facing out. So this is the way. Flip. And then you can adjust the handle length however way you want. I'm thinking I might put strap ends on mine, maybe. I think that's a good size. And then I can easily make a like a strap, crossbody strap, and I'll just hook it from one side here to the other side, and then you'll have a little crossbody. So. I'm going to pull these up just a little bit because I'm going to end up putting strap ends on mine just because I don't want raw edges on mine. So I'm just kind of adjusting to see how I like the length. Looks good. And then I will put these strap ends on off camera and I will be taking some pictures, but this is the finished bag. And I think it came out really nice. Like I said, I don't have a walking foot machine. I'm sure if I had a walking foot machine, I wouldn't have had the issue of like stretching. But what I'm going to do is stabilize my vinyl next time. That will help with the stretching. And then, yeah, I'm gonna pull off my plastic, stuff this so that it looks nice, and then the wrinkles I find normally come out, like, they will come out within like 24 hours. Yes. Thank you, Martha. Yes, this is 100% authentic fabric. I got it from Cozumel off Etsy. There's a shop, and I'll link the shop down, the one that I bought this from. I got it from, like I said, I got it from Mexico, and it shipped so quickly. I paid a little bit extra for FedEx, which was like only $13, and I got like 7 yards of fabric. So it really wasn't that bad. So it's authentic, handmade. So no, Deb, I did not sew my pockets. I need to make sure that I remember to, because I will forget. Luckily, I'm giving this to my mom, so I don't have to worry, like, if I did forget, I'll still bring it back. So this is it. I'm super excited at how nice it came together. And honestly, like, besides the fact that like this is uneven here, I'm actually fairly impressed how good these are matching up. So like I said, it's stretched, but everything else is matching, so that's nice. So thank you, everyone. I will be posting pictures shortly. Just going to put on these strap ends, rivet them, and then close up my zipper, and then pictures. And I'm gonna go grab me some lunch because I'm starving. But thank you, everybody that followed me. And yes, I did make the Lola a lot difficult than it probably needed to be, but I think the outcome is worth it. So thank you, everybody. I do have a live coming up for Mrs. H in her group. I am doing her Hope pattern. I'm doing a pattern hack, so I'm going to do a two-tone bag, and I am using the Long John strap connectors on hers, and lengthening the handles. So if you want, you can go to her group and click the event so that you'll know. I don't go live until the 15th, so I still have some time. But yes, that will be my next live, and then I'm gonna have a break in. We're gonna have a break in July, or no, June, from Swoon videos. But I'm still gonna try to go live and post videos on my YouTube. Hopefully, if I can find some time. But I just use a small screw, and I haven't had any issues with it not going in all the way. I just make sure it's straight, because if I find that if I go at an angle, then it won't go in all the way, Cindy. So make sure that your screw is straight when it goes in. And then also, happy Mother's Day to everybody else out there too, and thank you for those that told me happy Mother's Day. I hope y'all enjoy your day tomorrow and today, and I'll see y'all maybe on my next live. Bye everyone. Thank you.